Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be interviewing a very talented ventriloquist, and she's also an actress. Her name is Christine Barger. I had heard her on a podcast and thought she was very delightful and very talented. I decided to reach out to her for an interview, and as it turns out, she was also in a movie I saw, American Pie Presents Beta House. And I'm going to have her on the show today. And it's going to be pretty cool, I think. I never really interviewed a ventriloquist before, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm always down to interview somebody from my generation who is extremely talented, especially if it's a comedian, or in this case, a ventriloquist. So, here is my interview with Christine Barger. Hi, Christine.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. My speakerphone there. Hello.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How are you doing?
I have a bit of a cough, but other than that, all is well.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it. About 2 months ago, I heard you on the Friends Without Benefits podcast, and I haven't really seen any ventriloquists in my age group, and I thought it would be awesome to reach out to you. You sounded like a happy and positive person, and then I had realized I had seen you in American Pie Presents Beta House.
Yeah.
Yes.
I work as an actor as well as a ventriloquist and social media influencer. So I basically do entertainment in all ways possible.
Yeah.
Mostly family friendly. American Pie Beta House, not so family friendly.
Yeah. So I put two and two together after that. So going back to the beginning, I had read that you started ventriloquism at the age of 7, but before that, did you know that you wanted to be in show business, or did you just know that when you did that for the first time?
So I started performing on stage when I was 7. I started doing ventriloquism when I was 5 as a way to kind of cope with stuff going on. My brother was born premature and he was very sick.
Mm-hmm.
So we were living at the Ronald McDonald house, and there was another child living there that had a toy that would talk to her, but it wouldn't talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made my teddy bear talk to everybody but her, so that way I could kind of deal with that situation. And I didn't realize it was a skill. Like, I didn't know ventriloquism was a thing. And so after my parents saw me doing it, they gave me a puppet and let me go on stage and put me on stage. They let me go on stage, and I was like, wow, I can help people. People are laughing, they're forgetting their problems, and that's when I decided I wanted to do entertainment. Before that, I was really too young to kind of thought much about it. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I decided that I wanted to do entertainment because it was a way to help other people escape their problems.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's so awesome. Yeah, I was about maybe 4 years old when I started entertaining my family, performing for them and stuff. I think that was kind of an outlet for me, too, after my grandpa died, in hindsight. But, that's what I can relate to. You know, we come from that generation of VHS tapes and, more accessibility to entertainment.
Yeah. It's interesting because I grew up with VHS and cassettes where, I had my little microphone cassette player. I would sing into it and make my own songs and things like that. And then to watch what the kids these days have access to. Mm-hmm. They can make full productions out of their bedroom.
Yeah.
It's just interesting because it wasn't quite to that level when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm. I made semi-productions in my bedroom when I was a kid. I was always very creative. I used to like make little sets and everything when I was a kid. I didn't have camera equipment, of course, but I just used to do it to entertain myself and entertain my family and all that. I could make costumes out of anything. I used to dress up as my favorite movie stars, playing characters in movies. I used to dress up as a woman. I later became a cross-dresser for a little while in my 20s, ironically. All that stuff. So you're from Indiana.
I'm from Indiana, yeah.
The very conservative background.
I grew up going to church,
Mm-hmm.
and my family still lives in Indiana. They're kind of in the middle of a different part of the country than where I live now in Los Angeles, so it's very different mindset on things like politics and different things that I grew up, much more conservative than the culture in which I live now in the city.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, I think 15 minutes from a gas station, probably, which is like 15 miles back home. Here, 15 minutes is like a half a mile. But yeah, like we're in the middle of cornfields and mist fields and farmland and Bible Belt type area. So it's a little different.
Mm-hmm. Did you do plays in school?
I did. I did plays in church and in school, and I remember one of my favorite characters I got to play was Miss Hannigan and Annie. She was very edgy.
Mm-hmm.
She was an alcoholic, and so I got to carry a bottle of booze and play a very challenging role with Miss Hannigan in high school, so that was fun.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Ball State, and then I did an exchange program to London, and then I did another exchange program to Cal State LA. So my last semester in this quarter system here, but my last couple of months in school, I was at Cal State LA, and then I managed to end up at an open call for extras for a movie, which I ended up getting my first role in because the extras casting was doing some of the small roles, and she brought me in for an audition, and so I moved to LA because I booked a movie while I was still technically in college.
Oh, awesome. Did you...
I graduated and moved out here like all within basically a month.
Wow. So did you study acting and improv while you were in college?
I studied acting in college, and Ball State is a great program where you get to work with the TCOM department, and there's a lot of filming, and we had a class where I remember we had to learn how to edit our own footage. So we had to film and we had to edit ourselves. And it taught me a lot, where I feel like a lot of theater programs didn't really get into film and television as much. So it was great because continuity was one of those things that's always been in the back of my mind as an actor, and I think that really helps a lot when you're on set, because as a theater person, you don't necessarily think about the things that you have to think about as a film actor.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. And I didn't really do improv in college. My first real improv experience, I auditioned for an improv troupe in LA called Script Meet,
Mm-hmm.
and I got in the troupe. I had to learn all the rules of improv because I really didn't know anything about it, and I had to learn them quick because it was a stripping improv troupe. So every time we made a mistake in a short form game, the audience would yell "strip," and we'd have to take off an article of clothing during the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you mess up too much, then you ran out of clothes. So I tried not to mess up too much. Just a little. Just enough.
That's awesome. I love that. Did you do any studying at the Groundlings?
Yes, I studied at Groundlings and IO West. I'm trying to think, Monkey Butler, and LA Connection. I actually taught there as well. I used to teach improv at Flappers too, so a lot of improv. And then I developed my own kind of unique version of ventriloquism that I do called ventriloquist.
Yep.
Which I'm sure if you've looked at the website, you probably saw some of that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Where I do short-form improv with puppet and audience members from the audience. It's different than most ventriloquists. That's a lot of pressure because you have to be an entire improv troupe by yourself, but play multiple roles simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've interviewed a couple groundlings from the 70s. They got some great stories. So while you're in college, I mean, did you go up on stage with a dummy quite often and work on it?
No, I didn't. I went in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I also played the ventriloquist in Annie. I played McHannigan, and then I took a costume change for that radio scene, and I played the ventriloquist. Mm-hmm. Because they were like, well, we have a ventriloquist, you have to do this. I'm like, okay. And then I was doing a lot of outreach programs and things as a ventriloquist in the community and through church, and I ended up performing and getting a little notoriety, I guess, in my local community, this thing called Project Excel, where I did ventriloquism. And so I got into my college, and everybody knew I was a ventriloquist, and then it never really came up, and I kind of put it aside because I was a little prideful. I wanted people to think that I was funny and that I was talented, not just the puppet. Mm-hmm. Because when you're a ventriloquist, you don't, even though you're doing all the work, you aren't really getting the credit. The puppets get all the credit.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for me to kind of handle that when I was in college because I just, you go through things and growing up and becoming independent and whatever, and I just really felt like the puppets got all the credit, and I wanted to have people realize that I was talented too, that I was an actor, and that I could do more than just ventriloquism. So I kind of put it away, and then I ended up helping out with some productions in college. I was up for one of the major roles in Noises Off. It ended up being a senior show. I was a freshman at the time, so I didn't really stand a chance of getting in that show. And so I ended up helping with set design and props, primarily props and then makeup. I fell into makeup design in college, and so I double majored in makeup design, and I did some stage management, props, and things, and I was really good at that. And so everyone kept saying, well, if you don't get cast in the shows, will you do this on my show? And so I would, say, yeah, of course, if I don't get cast, I'll work, stage management, I'll do props on your show, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I never got cast. It was weird. So my senior year, I ended up booking like the tiniest role in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Mm-hmm. I played Yuki. I think I had like 2 lines, and I think I did makeup on that show as well. And I was doing makeup on like an opera at the local theater. Like I was doing all of this behind the scenes stuff, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. So when I moved to LA, I didn't really tell anybody that I did all of that, even though it's on my resume. But I didn't go out and pursue a career in behind the scenes because it's not where my passion lies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so fascinated and terrified by ventriloquism because of how super talented people like you can make the dummies come alive, and how you can do it without, moving your mouth. It creeps me out in the most awesome way.
Good, I guess. Thank you for that compliment. Yeah, I don't really find ventriloquism creepy, but I've grown up with, puppets and dummies have always been kind of fascinating since the thing that I just did. But I do get a lot of that on social media where, especially young kids, will think they're really creepy. They're like, oh, it's so creepy. Like, they'll still follow me and they'll want to watch, but they just constantly say how creepy it is. And I don't quite understand why.
Well, I think it's because, it's always been the target in horror movies and TV shows. Like the Twilight Zone did one, Tales from the Crypt did one with Bobcat Goldthwait and Don Rickles. That was a really funny one. Anthony Hopkins did the movie Magic. I think that's maybe kind of responsible for it.
I suppose. I have a Magic poster in our hallway, actually. Like, I would love it. I guess, to me, those are all, not all of them. The Twilight Zone was clearly not like the mental case, but a lot of those are the person is the scary part of that situation. It's not usually the dummy's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Except for like Chucky, which isn't even a dummy, but that is probably the number one thing that people bring up. They're like, oh my gosh, she looks like Chucky. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
First of all, Darlene doesn't look like Chucky at all, but it's something about that concept of a living doll. They grew up seeing Chucky, or some of the younger kids saw the Goosebumps, and they're just like, oh, slappy. And they immediately put those things together, and they think, oh, it's scary, it's terrifying, it's creepy. I guess. I mean, I still, like, you know, I mean, we've got people like Darcy Wynn who are really well known, and Jeff Dunham, and, I mean, Jeff's got a couple of characters that are a little odd that could be creepy, but ultimately they're all kind of just funny, or meant to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I can do a little bit of ventriloquism to like entertain my niece and nephew and my friends' kids. I do these little finger puppets for them, you know, and do voices for them and stuff. And they know they know it's me. They know my fingers aren't really talking, you know, and that's about as far as I can go with it. Though I couldn't do a whole stage act. It just seems like it'd be too much for me, you know.
Well, I think that's awesome. I like when people do puppetry or ventriloquism in all forms and to help, you know, with teaching kids lessons or just entertaining them. I think it's great. I think that kids, luckily with America's Got Talent, they're starting to see that it's an art form.
Yeah.
Because there was a phase for a while where I would get on stage and I would do my show, and after the show, the kids would come up to me, and this was before they had seen Terry Fader and Darcy Lynn and Kevin and all those guys on AGT. They would come up and they would say, how does the robot know what to say, or who's controlling the robot? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because they didn't grasp the concept of ventriloquism being a skill. And it wasn't until it became popular again recently that they kind of understand that it's a skill and that the puppet is communicating with them through the ventriloquist. Although some of them still think that it's just alive on its own, and that's fine too. Like, if they think that Snuggles the skunk is really a skunk that's being bullied at the playground and they can relate to that, that's the goal anyway, so that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At least they've stopped saying that they're all robots, which is like a weird phase of everyone thinking they were all robotic.
Yeah.
That I was just like on stage with them randomly.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird.
Were you influenced by anybody?
As an adult, yeah, I've definitely researched and befriended people, and growing up as a kid, Sherry Lewis was someone that I looked up to,
mm-hmm.
and then Jeff Dunham, and Willie Tyler and Lester, and I liked all of those guys, but I didn't get into ventriloquism because I was influenced by a ventriloquist.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't quite the same path where I know a lot of my friends said that they saw a ventriloquist, they wanted to do that, and they learned how to do it. I learned the skill first, and then I found out about other people doing it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little bit of a different type of influence, but definitely people that I looked up to.
Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy, they're like the original, you know, ventriloquist act that opened the door for it.
Yeah, and they were on the radio, which is so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, because you couldn't see it.
How an odd thing kind of defeats the purpose. But that's still cool. They were still entertaining, and ultimately that's what ventriloquism is about, is being entertaining. A lot of people get down on themselves because their lip control isn't perfect, or their voices aren't different enough, or whatever. They get very technical and they get down on themselves. But when it comes down to it,
mm-hmm.
the general public doesn't care if your lips are moving or if your voice is perfect. they just want you to be entertaining.
Right.
They want you to tell a story or, be funny or whatever that thing is they're looking for out of that show. So you don't have to be the best technical ventriloquist, which Edgar Bergen apparently was not. I never got to see him perform, but I've heard the radio shows.
Yeah.
He definitely brought those characters to life.
Yeah, because back then, all they had was the radio, and that was like a little advertisement for people to come see them perform in whatever town they were in, So when did you move to LA?
Sorry?
What year did you move to LA?
Oh gosh. I moved to LA my 5th year of college, so a while ago.
What clubs do you?
A while.
Mm-hmm. What clubs do you mostly do your act at?
So I don't really do comedy clubs anymore. I did when I got out here for a while. I was at Flappers a lot, but I was teaching classes out of there as well. And I used to do 2 Milk Minimum quite often, which is their kids show at Flappers in Burbank. I did some stuff at the Comedy Store and the Ice House. I just don't really love the comedy scene.
Yeah.
And, don't get me wrong, it's fun, and you get to go up in front of people and entertain them, and it's great, but they're often quite drunk.
Yep.
And I find drunk people less fun to perform for.
Yep.
Than not drunk people. Especially as a female in comedy doing a unique thing such as ventriloquism, it can be difficult enough without having to deal with drunk people. So I just kind of went to more corporate and college entertainment, and then I found myself on the internet about 1.5 years ago, and now I pretty much make content daily online. The past month has been a little bit more difficult because I've been fighting this pneumonia thing. So I haven't been doing as much ventriloquism online because I haven't been getting on camera as much. I'm still posting daily, but it's other things that'll be just the puppets instead of me being on camera. They'll be just the puppets on camera or whatever. But I do make content every day, so it's
that's good.
Different. It's different than being in front of a live audience. Even when I live stream, it's a different kind of live audience, and it's a different age demographic. So it's very different than comedy clubs.
Yeah, I've been doing stand-up since '06, and there's a lot of it I don't like. It's all about, social media and not talent anymore, it seems like, And the drunk people do drive me crazy, too. I do agree with you on that.
Also, I think there's something about stand-up comedians, particularly guys, they really like to put that microphone in their mouth or in their pants. I feel like almost, at least a good majority of the time, somebody before me has put the microphone in their mouth or down their pants. And I'm like, why is everyone going to do weird stuff with the microphone? I don't want to touch this.
Yeah.
A little bit of a germaphobe coming out. I'm like, I can't bring my own microphone to the club.
I did that.
Hasn't been defiled or done strange things with.
I did that a couple of times when I first started out, and I don't do that no more, but I know what you mean.
What's this weird fascination with microphones being some sort of strange phallic symbol?
Well, it does look like one, so it's the most convenient thing you have that resembles a penis,
I suppose. I guess part of it is that I have someone else on stage with me, kind of, with my characters, so we're not looking for props in the mic stand.
Yeah. So how did you get the role of Bargie in American Pie Presents Beta House?
So I really wanted to be in I'm trying to think, Naked Miles, the one before us. I saw the breakdown go out for the girl that was a dominatrix, and I desperately wanted to be in that movie for some reason. I saw that role, and I'm like, I want to be the dominatrix.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically harassed Monica to bring me in on it. So finally, she just did.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, yeah, we'll send the tape off. And I don't think she ever actually sent the tape off. I'm not sure. Because I mentioned it to the producer, and he didn't remember ever seeing that tape. But then the next movie came out, so I obviously didn't book that. The next movie was coming out, and the breakdowns went out. And that role of Margie was much more in my wheelhouse than the dominatrix character had been. And so my agent called, and Monica was like, yes, we're bringing her in for that. And then they brought me in, but they didn't actually bring me in for an audition. They just brought me in for an interview. I'd never interviewed for a film. I'd always auditioned.
Mm-hmm.
Had lines. They came in, and I got to be the character. I'm much more comfortable playing pretend as someone else than just doing a job interview.
Yeah.
So there's nothing more terrifying than sitting down and being judged for who you are as a person.
Yeah.
As opposed to playing a character and saying, well, your choices were not right, or you didn't look the part, or whatever. When you're going in, you're just being yourself, and it's like, there's no lines, there's just an interview. And it's funny because I go in, and it was Keith and Eric in the room, so producer and writer-producer, and Benny, rest in peace, the little guy, was this little dog that Monica had at her office, and she's the casting director, and he was inside the room, and I loved Benny. I'd been in for Monica on other stuff and worked with her, and so I go in, and I was so nervous. Like, I was barely functioning, because I really wanted to be a part of American Pie movies, and I didn't really think about what I was wearing. I just threw on a tank top.
Mm-hmm.
And so I happened to throw on my Script Tease tank top, the one from the Stripping Improv, and it said Script Tease across the front. And I gained a little weight, so it didn't quite fit. So I guess I had a lot more cleavage than I was aware of going into the room.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there, and I'm just nervous. And I'm so nervous, I make the dog nervous. So he gets up and he's trying to leave, and I'm like, Monica, Benny wants out. He needs you. She comes in, and I got like much more calm and did the interview. They didn't have me read or do any lines or anything. And I was just like, okay. And then I was in the process of doing a rock opera at the time. It was my first rock opera and my last rock opera at the state. It was a lot of work, dancing, singing, and running around, and I was not in shape. I mean, I was not completely out of shape, but I was definitely not fit. And so I didn't hear anything back, and I thought, oh, I guess they're not going to cast me. And then I was doing this rock opera, rehearsing every day and like getting ready for the show. And the show's like in dress rehearsal for that night, opening night, and I get a call that they're still interested in me. It's been like a month, and they're like, they're still interested, but they think your hair is too edgy because I had an asymmetrical haircut.
Uh-huh.
They're like, we need you to go to a hair fitting today. And I was so in between the final dress and the opening night of this rock opera, I run to the hills to some lady's house, and she like snips my hair to see if she can match me for a fall, or like a wig, because she can't. She's like, well, I think your hair is not that edgy, but okay. And so I go back, and then I find out as we're ending the show, not that night, but like as the show is coming to an end, run, that they want to book me, and then I'm leaving for Toronto in like a couple of days, and I'll be there for 28 days of filming, which is more than a month of living there. And I was like, oh, cool. And so I get on a plane, and I go to Toronto, and I get there, and no one knows who I am, like, when they first see me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of them had met me. Nick Knack's the guy that I'm playing opposite.
Yeah.
He knew me because I had done a movie with his roommate, Andy Melanakis, called Killer Pad. So he knew me from the rap party from that. So he was so excited because he was comfortable. But everyone was like, who are you playing? And I'm like, Margie. And they're like, but you're not very big. Because in the role, like, it read as though I was going to be like 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's like, but you're not very big. So I get so worried if I was going to lose the job. And like the first scene I think we shot was the choking scene. And so I'm like, there's no way to hide if I'm not big enough because I'm not going to be wearing clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like downing burgers and like trying to eat myself back to the weight because I had lost quite a bit of weight since they met me. And so nobody knew that I'd lost that weight. And I hadn't intended to. I was just working on a show. I was dancing every day, so I lost weight. And so I was, like, trying to gain weight because I was so afraid they were going to just send me home. And then I found out after it was all done that part of the reason I booked the job was because I came in wearing that shirt with basically they said, well, you know, you were just wearing that tank top that said script tease on it, so we weren't afraid that you were going to back out of the nude scenes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I never thought about how revealing my wardrobe for the audition had been. Mm-hmm. And then I guess it was a big deal that I'd lost weight, but then they were like, oh, no, it's fine, because they thought I was funny enough to carry it anyway, and I wasn't small. But definitely, I wasn't the size that I guess I had been when they met me. So it was kind of all these different things. It was a lot of stress. It was really fun. They did try to find somebody in Canada because the rules of the union rules and the way that their permits work with Canada. They interviewed, I don't know how many people for my role, but I think I was the only one in the States they might have seen for it. But I was the only girl, I think, in the movie that was from the U.S. Everybody else was Canadian or working as Canadian. There's only a couple of guys, too. It was Nick and I think Steve Talley was from the U.S., Mr. Stifler, and Bradford, I think, because he was working on some soap opera at the time. He might still be on there. Actually, I don't watch soaps, but I've done a soap, but I don't really watch soaps. He was on the medical one.
General Hospital.
Yeah, he's on General Hospital Nights, I think. Mm-hmm. The kid in the wheelchair in the movie.
Yeah, I interview lots of Canadian actors. They are very nice people, and they tell me about how fucked up the Canadian Screen Actors Guild is and stuff. They're really funny like that when they tell me that. I have to say though, your nudity in the movie is like the only redeeming value for this movie.
I'd like to think the sheep scene is somewhat redeeming.
Oh, okay, that comes in second for me.
I really, the sheep scene was so terrifying because it's done in front of all those people. Mm-hmm. You know when they turn the camera around?
Yeah.
They're really there. And nobody was warned about what the scene was really about. Like, they kind of had an idea, and they knew it was, like, the dancing thing, but I was really a secret weapon, I guess. So when I came out, everybody really was like, oh, my gosh. I'm like, oh, how embarrassing to be, walking out in front of this huge group of people. It's different when you're watching it on a screen. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. But when you're like there in real life and you've got hundreds of people all like laughing at you,
yeah,
it's an odd feeling to walk out in that outfit.
Yeah, what'd your parents think about you being in the movie?
Well, they were really supportive.
Mm-hmm. Really supportive.
They were proud that their daughter was following her dream of acting. They could have done without the nudity,
right?
Or the random amounts of sex scenes. but yeah, they were proud that I was following my dream.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because it could have gone either way.
Yeah, they came out to set even. It was fun. They got to meet a lot of the other actors and producers.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. One thing I was very delighted and intrigued by, because this podcast started out as horror and sci-fi themed only, and now I've made it into a variety podcast. You got to be a casting assistant for my hero Charlie Band on Puppet Master X.
Oh, Charlie! Yes.
How the fuck did you get that job?
Well, my husband is Jeremiah Lutz. He was the casting director for a bunch of Charlie's movies. Mm-hmm. So what happened was that Jeremiah would get a little overwhelmed because he was also working with Robin. I don't know if you know Robin Sidney.
I've heard the name.
So that's Charlie's other half. So Robin has her own business. She's also an actor. She's been in a bunch of Charlie's movies too. That's how I think they met. Mm-hmm. So Jeremiah works with her for his job at her company. And he met her through Charlie, because he was working as an intern with Full Moon. And he was doing Charlie's casting, and he would also have his job. And so I started helping him with the casting because he just did not have the time to do a lot of the pre-reads, and so I would run a lot of the pre-reads, and I would schedule the actors and everything, and eventually I just started doing it so much that we were kind of working on it together.
Wow.
It wasn't like I came in for an interview with Charlie or anything. Like, I've actually read for Charlie. I was trying to get into, Did Ed Want Women, I think? I was like, will you just see me? Just see me for the role. If you don't like me, that's fine. I just want you to give me a chance. But I'm not exactly the Full Moon, stereotypical Full Moon girl to look at, I would say, in general.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an uphill battle, but I just did one of his movies as like a small thing where we were both on, like Jeremiah and I were both like on camera for something in a bowling alley. I don't even remember. Mm-hmm. But we've done so much with Full Moon. One of my favorite Full Moon moments was meeting Eric Roberts on set.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh, he is such a sweetheart. I love Eric Roberts so much. So he was so funny, but he was like smoking in the corner of a building, and everybody was like, who wants to tell Eric he can't smoke in here? Because I think we just kind of ignored it and let him. Because you can't smoke in buildings in California, really. But it was like a rented building. It wasn't
of course
like a set. So it wasn't during like filming when it was allowed. It was just like off in a corner somewhere in this office building. I'm like, Eric. I was like, excuse me, Mr. Roberts, you're not really supposed to smoke in here. And he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Charlie's great. I mean, I've known Charlie forever now, it feels like. I mean, since I've known Jeremiah, I think I've known Charlie. We've been to like family dinners and stuff with those guys. They're super cool. But like I said, Robin was in our wedding, so like we're
yeah.
close with them. We don't really do casting with them anymore, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy, and Jeremiah is too busy to kind of keep on with that. And then Charlie got a different casting director that was working a lot more with other projects as well, and she had a bit broader reach, I think, with her actors, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm interviewing Richard Band tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I've met him before a couple of years ago at a horror convention, and I met Charlie last year. I go to Monsterpalooza in L.A. every year. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, because Charlie always has the Full Moon stand there. Him and David Dakota, they sell DVDs and they sign for free and stuff and all that. So I went by there last year, and I was so starstruck meeting Charlie. He signed my Blu-ray cover, but I didn't ask him for a selfie. I should have, but I'm going to go back again next year. And next year I want to ask him if he needs a production assistant, because I'm looking to move out there and stuff. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, Charlie, he's been doing it for such a long time. He's such a staple in the horror world. I think he does a lot of stuff at Dark Delicacies, too. If you're out here, if you become local, like, I think he's got stuff at Dark Delicacies quite frequently.
Yes, he does. There's a lot of talk, though, that Dark Delicacies may be closing down. That whole block might be closed down.
They sold it to somebody else, I think, and they're changing the rent.
Yeah, I hope it stays, though, because that place is, a landmark. I hope it stays a little longer and stuff. But
there's another cool, I can't think of the name of the store, but it's right down the street, like across the street. They have all these little skeletons and like little like dead hamsters dressed in costumes. I don't know if you know the place I'm talking about. It's like a little house. But if you get a chance, you should check it out. It's a really odd place, and they have a bunch of cool stuff in there. It's like very odd, but it's right down the street and like across the way, kind of by that store that sells the vintage dresses. But like, I wish I could think of the name of it. But they've I think even been at some of the conventions. Where I've gone to some of the conventions and did little pop up stuff.
Maybe I have seen it and I just don't know, but yeah, I'll see it. I'll see it if I can find out what it's called and stuff. Um,
Definitely.
you also did Penn and Teller Fool Us.
Yeah, I did Penn and Teller Fool Us, not a horror film.
Yeah.
I've done a few horror films, but Penn and Teller Fool Us, I guess, kind of falls in that same world because of the magic.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible show, and they're incredible guys.
Yeah, I watched your set on YouTube. You were great.
Well, thank you. Darlene did all the work.
You're such a nice person. Does Darlene like bring out your dark side on stage?
Not really. I don't know. Darlene is, I mean, she's a little bit of an outspoken character, I guess.
Yeah.
And she'll do things that I won't do. Things that I probably would have done back when I was single, maybe. She's quite the flirt. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's always some part of yourself in every character that you portray or that you create, and she's a character that I've created over the years. So yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of me in there, but I don't know. It's not like I have this scary dark side that comes out through my puppets or anything like that. I'm not magic in that sense.
Yeah.
No one's wielding a knife around here at night, just like mad at someone or anything. And I'm blaming the puppet. It's not like that.
Yeah. Does she or any of your other dummies have belly buttons?
I don't know. I don't look at their bellies, I guess. Uncle's is over there. He doesn't have a belly button. He's got fur. I don't think that's a thing.
Well, Jeff Dunham's puppets do.
Oh, Peanut does.
Yeah, Peanut.
I don't know. I mean, it's not like Darlene takes her clothes off very often.
Yeah.
She does change occasionally, but that's funny. I never thought much about it.
So how far do you want to go in your career?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, do you want to like reach Jeff Dunham level of success?
As a ventriloquist?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I primarily really would like to do film and television, whether that means doing it as a ventriloquist or doing it as an actor. Either way, it's fine. I just like entertaining people. Social media is great, and I have quite a good reach at this point. Like, I've been developing it for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I just want to reach as many people as I can, and I find that television and movies are great for that. And so my heart lies in that world. So I'm not really big on touring or like traveling around alone doing shows the way that a lot of friends have been having to do, or moving to Vegas and doing a show there like Terry. Like, I enjoy living in LA.
Right.
And so in the sense that, yeah, I mean, having a comedy special or something, that'd be great. I just don't necessarily want to tour and do comedy clubs or cruises at this point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My cats don't like to travel, and I don't like to be away from them. My husband's got a job here, so he can't come with me.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I was making the kind of money that, like, those stars that are traveling do, I don't know that I'd want to tell him, like, you need to come with me. Like, you know, I want him to have his own thing going on. It's not like I want him just to travel on the road with me, be a roadie or anything. I want him to be able to work and follow his goals and dreams too. And it's all kind of based out of LA for us. So that's the only thing that kind of keeps me from wanting to do the comedy route in that sense. That's the great thing about the internet, is I can do it from anywhere. And then living in such a entertainment industry city, it's nice because I have everything else. It's kind of all based around where I live. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything you want to plug?
If you have the app TikTok, make sure you look me up, Christine Barger, because I make comedy on there and on the app Vigo every day. I'm like app. And there's so many of those little short form apps like Vine. Basically, if there's an app that you see that has short form comedy on it, if you search my name, I'm probably on it. Like, I make content on so many different apps. And then I have YouTube, and I'm really excited about my YouTube. I have 2 channels that I try to create content on weekly if I can. I've been sick, so I haven't got a lot of the Halloween stuff up yet on the Haunt Girl. But if you like Halloween or you like escape rooms, I do a review channel, and I do walkthroughs of haunted houses and things like that on the Haunt Girl. So you can go to thehauntgirl.com, and it'll take you to the YouTube channel as well. And then mine, Christine Barger. If you just go search Christine Barger, you'll find me. And I do ventriloquist videos about 3 times a week on YouTube. I try to get them up. So there's a lot of other stuff you'll find on YouTube. I'm sure that's me. Like, my cats have a channel. I have this other channel where I tried this character called Eva Vent, where I was making videos of, like, toy unboxings as this crazy character with, like, space buns, and she's annoying. She's a super annoying character. So there's lots of stuff you can find online, but the 2 channels that I regularly make content on are just Christine Barger and the Haunt Girl.
Yes, I subscribe to your channel, so I will be up to date.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And
I'm on Instagram and Twitter and all those places too, so you can find me there. Christine Barger Official on Instagram and Christine Barger everywhere else.
I've got those too. So, Christine, you are awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you recover from this terrible pneumonia. I hope so.
Thank you.
Yes. I hope you have speedy recovery on that. And happy holidays, continued success, and have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Christine Barger. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Christine. I'm glad we got to do this conversation. You're a very delightful person, and you will have continued success in the future. I just know it. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.